Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we are looking at Healthy Heart Hospital. This is a cooperative board game. It's a simulation game for a staff of 1 to 5 players. Now this one is an interesting one. It's put out by Victory Point Games. Takes about 60 minutes to 90 minutes to play, ages 13 and up. You get a rule book, 25 ambulance cards, 88 wooden cubes in 6 colors, 1 game board, 10 doctor cards, 120 markers and counters, 10 new room cards, and 5 administrator cards. Now this is supposed to be a pretty fun game. Victory Point Games seems to have kind of a reputation of having really cool games, but having not as high a quality of pieces. Now I can't remember any of their games, if I've played them or not. Maybe there'll be a flyer inside, I don't know. So this will be just as much of a mystery to me as it is to you. But it's an interesting premise of running a hospital in a sort of hospital simulator for 1 to 5 players. So let's open this up and see what's inside. It's got some pretty good plastic wrap on it, so that's good. Alright. Our box quality's pretty good. Give them credit for that. And here we've got a rule book. It's got a cheat sheet on the back, player sequence and everything. See how many pages is this? It's about 17 pages. Not bad. Pretty standard color. Lots of images of the pieces. I like that. Looks like a really well laid out book actually. So yeah, pretty straightforward. It's got a list of the components and images, which I really like. So that's really cool that they did that. Let's get the game board out. Alright, this training pool. Triage, draw a pile down here. Waiting room triage, you got your beds. Cardiology, trauma, internal medicine, psychiatric, infectious diseases. And up here you've got the cemetery for those little whoopsies that happen to the doctors. Alright, this is a really nice board actually. It's pretty good. Decent quality. It's not glossy, so if you get it wet, it probably will ruin this top image. But at the same time, that works because things are going to be sliding all over the place. I'd worry a little bit about soiling around the lighter colored areas, but not as much as I would normally. It's pretty nice actually. I think that's a pretty solid board. Alright, then we've got some chits here. Our little token sheet. Yeah, these are actually pretty good thickness. I don't know what people are talking about. These seem about average. Nothing special, but not the worst I've seen, certainly. And they're not as thick as like Cool Mini or Not or Fantasy Flight, but they are thick enough that they'll get the job done, and they're pretty nice color and decent quality. Alright, here we got some more. They're slightly above average, I would say. At least average quality. Here we've got some. This one's kind of raised up. I don't like that. So that one's a little beat up on the star. So okay, I can kind of see the point now. Maybe they get banged up pretty easily, but they look like they're average quality. That might be a fluke. And then we've got our cubes. 6 different colors. Like they said, they're painted wooden cubes. What do you want? They give you some baggies to separate the cubes, which is really cool. We've got some cards. Let me zoom the camera in and we'll take a look at the cards. And we're back. Alright. Looks like there's a string in here. Cool. Easy open. Alright, looks like we got some like room cards, some doctor cards, admin cards, ambulance cards. Ambulance cards seem to be the majority. Let's look at the doctors first. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them, just like they said. We've got Dr. Nowitz, Chief Psychiatrist. We've got Dr. Lucky, Head of Pathology. Not the Dr. Lucky from Kill Dr. Lucky. Dr. Glass. Dr. Smile. Dr. Dream. So obviously this is not a terribly serious game. Dr. Coldy, Head of Infection. Dr. Chang, Head of Internal Medicine, who vaguely looks like Bruce Lee. Dr. Burns, Head of Trauma. Dr. Bunsen, Head of Research. And lastly, Dr. Aorta, Head of Cardiology. Alright, the humor's not very good, I'll give you that. It's a little cheesy. But, yeah, the cards are actually okay quality. The gloss is really nice. They're not linen backed or anything. But the gloss quality seems pretty good. The cards are a little thin. They're a little thinner than your average trading card. But I think they're okay. They should be not great, but they should be usable. For admin, we've got 5 cards. First up, we have Administrator Pinchpenny, Logistics Expert. Then we have Administrator Morebucks, Financial Expert. Administrator Do Wronger, Mad Scientist. Administrator Daring, Risk Taker. And Administrator Ballyhoo, Public Relations. Like I said, they're silly, but you know, what are you gonna do? Alright, let's check out the ambulance cards before we get into the room cards there. Alright, a listeria outbreak. Body parts trafficking. Nurses strike. Administration salaries published. That's a definite no-no. Headline grabbing malpractice suit. Maybe related to that body trafficking. Pharmacy inventory scandal. Procurement corruption. Probably related to that body parts. Sex scandal at Healthy Heart. Fiscal impropriety bleeds heart. Cafeteria food poisoning. Heart enters float in big city parade. Circus visits hospital. High school field trips organized. Who'd want to go to the hospital for a field trip? That's just gross. New parking garage completed. Mayor speaks from hospital steps. Hospital brings in candy stripers. New interns making the rounds. New gift shop brightens heart. Hospital says help wanted. Research University affiliation announced. Promising drug trials commence. Special snowflake patient checks out. Hospital doctor wins Nobel Prize. Philanthropist donates generously. And lastly, new ambulance service launched. Alright, so those cards seem to add a lot of variety and fun to it. So as you can tell, some of them amused me. Let's get those out of the way. And let's take a look at our hospital cards here. So first up, we've got trauma. And there's different sides. There's a white side. And then there's a black side to it. So you got the white border card, which gives you different top numbers. Like this one's got 10 cubes, 4 little hearts, and like a star. And on the other side, we've got a different trauma with 8 cubes, 3 hearts, and 2 stars. So, sorry the camera doesn't zoom in more. Then we've got a research lab. Administrative action can be used to conduct advanced research actions. It's got one, I'm guessing those are like victory points or something. And then on the other side, we have the same research lab, but with, what was that, 3? Yeah, administrative actions, same thing. With 3 stars in there. Then we have a psychiatric unit, which is this really nice padded room. It's got 10 cubes, 4 PV hearts, and 1 star. Try and leave the previous card up so you can read it a little longer. And then on the other side is the same thing with no bed, and 8 hearts, 3 PV, and the 2 inside of the star. Then we have the morgue, hides 4 bodies, and no stars. And then you flip that over, and it's got the morgue with a star, and it hides 2 bodies. Then we've got internal medicine, 10 cubes, 4 hearts, 1 star, operating room. And on the back, we have the internal medicine with 8 cubes, 3 hearts, and 2 stars. And next up we have infectious disease, white border, 10 cubes, 4 hearts, 1 star, quarantine center. And on the back of that, we have the black border, which is infectious disease, 8 cubes, 3 hearts, 2 stars. Next we have the emergency room, which is 5 cubes, 1 heart, and 2 stars. Patient dies during housekeeping. Asterisk level 1 through 4 patients transfers back to waiting room. And on the other side, oh, we'll show you this one first. So you got these little areas. Once it hits 5, I guess you go back to the waiting room. So on the other side, black border is emergency room, 5 cubes, 1 heart, and 2 stars. Patient dies during housekeeping. Level 1 through 4, patient transfers back to the waiting room. But it's only got 1 row. And the next card is the clinic. You get 0 hearts, 3 stars, automatically heal 1 cube per patient during housekeeping. Gain $1 on discharge. Spend 1 administrative action token to convert money to prestige up to the number of cubes on this card. So this one sounds like a must-have sort of thing. And then on the other side, we've got the clinic black border, 0 PV, 4 stars, automatically heal 1 cube per patient during housekeeping, gain $1 on discharge. Alright, then we've got the break room. Receive 1 administrative action token and 1 medical action token. That's the white border side. And on the other side, we have a break room. Receive 1 administrative token per action. There's fewer chairs. Then we have cardiology. which is 10 cubes, 4 hearts, and 1 star. Operating room. And on the back is cardiology, 8 cubes, 3 hearts, and 2 stars. Operating room. And that's the last card. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty fun looking game. It's interesting. It's a hospital simulation game, which I don't think I've ever played one of those. So I'm willing to give it a shot. I think it looks pretty cool. It's definitely a change of pace from other games that we've looked at. And it's a real simplistic looking game. Like, it doesn't look particularly complicated. And the board is laid out pretty easily. It's not a big board either. It's just a twofold. So I do like that. I think it's better quality than I expected. And you can add the little expansions on the side with the other cards. So there's a lot of potential here. I think they even kind of, with the expansion cards, left it open to adding additional expansion sets on with new cards and new doctors, that sort of thing, if they wanted to. But overall, it's 1 to 5 players, so there's a decent playability here. You can play it solo, you can play it with a small group. You don't need a big group to play like a lot of games do. So I think this one actually looks kind of cool. I'm intrigued to play it. So I'm going to give this one a recommended just based on what I've seen so far, because it's not as bad a quality as what people were leading me to believe. And I think overall it looks like a pretty interesting game. Yeah, maybe it'll be something I play once or twice, but considering the cost point on it, I don't think that would upset me a whole lot. I don't think it's going to be that bad. And it's something you can play by yourself, or like I said, with a small group. So it's something that normal people might be more willing to play than something fantasy or sci-fi oriented, if you're trying to get some normies to play a game with you. And Pandemic could be a little intimidating because it's about gross stuff like diseases. And this has a little bit more of a less graphic sort of appeal. So this might appeal more to people that don't traditionally play things they find disturbing or stuff like that. It's more of a general hospital sort of feel. So yeah, I think this is definitely something that you could get non-gamers to play, and it would be a safe game for like the whole family to play. And it's ages 13 and up, so it's not very threatening game. The fact that it's cooperative is a huge bonus. And if you're trying to play with some people that aren't into sci-fi or fantasy due to religious reasons, or just a distaste for the settings, this might be a little more in their line. It's not violent. It's just a game about managing a hospital and trying to save lives. So it looks like a pretty simplistic board game that could be a lot of fun for pretty much anybody. But that'll do it for this episode. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Gotta go through that occasionally. In the meantime, that'll do it for this episode. As always, we hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.